My firefighter husband called in everyone to save his suicidal first love while our house was on fire. I didn't call my husband. Calmly, I watched my beautifully decorated home burn to the ground. In my past life, he answered my call first and came to save me when I was pregnant. His first love, suffering from depression, jumped from the 18th floor and was unrecognizable. My husband said he didn't regret saving me and our child, and the wedding proceeded as planned, but on the wedding day, he broke my leg and forced me to kneel in front of Bai Yuiguang's tombstone. The fire at home wasn't even that big. Qin Yin, you deliberately sent me away, so I didn't get to see her one last time. Lin Lin was so kind. Why couldn't it have been you who died instead? He burned me to death again like a madman. When I opened my eyes again, it was the day my house caught fire. This time, if he wants to save the white moonlight, let him go. I've decided to give up. Thick smoke billows. I coughed uncontrollably, quickly taking out my phone to dial 119. It was a voice I knew all too well on the other end of the line. Sister-in-law, Lin said you'd call, but I didn't expect you to actually do it. The person on the other end of the line is Songin, my fiancé Lin Su's comrade in arms and also his good friend. Songin, my place is on fire. Please send someone over quickly. As we were talking, a wooden wardrobe nearby cracked and collapsed from the heat. The flaming wood grazed my skin, the searing pain making me gasp and hiss in reflex. In the moment of crisis, Songin spoke in a light tone, completely disregarding what I had said. Sister-in-law, stop acting. Brother Lin told me everything. You must have known he was going to save his first love and got jealous, so you filed a false report. Sister-in-law, to be honest, there's hardly anyone left in the team now. Just stop making a fuss. After all, that's a matter of life and death over there. You and Brother Lin are about to get married, and constantly overthinking things can really hurt your relationship. The fire was getting worse, and I had no patience to listen to Songyan's sermon anymore, so I hung up the phone. I can't even care about what he might think. Gazing at the house that had held 5 years of memories with Lin Su, I sighed softly and placed my hand on my abdomen. I never expected to be reborn to this moment. In my previous life, this fire also occurred. Back then, I immediately called my fiancé, Lin Su. He rushed over with a group of people to put out the fire, and his first love, Bai Lin, called him over a dozen times, but he didn't hear any of them. Later, we found out that Bai Lin had a depressive episode that day and jumped from the 18th floor. After surviving the ordeal, as I held Lin Su and cried, he said he didn't regret saving me and the baby in my womb. Our wedding took place as planned. I wore the wedding dress I had been dreaming of and married the man I had been with for over 5 years. Full of joy, I thought we were starting a new life, but he hit me with a harsh reality. Lin Su brutally broke my leg, staining my wedding dress with blood, yet he ignored it, driving me to the spot where Bai Lin jumped to her death and forcing me to kneel down to apologize to her. But I truly don't know what I did wrong. Lin Su is my fiancé and the father of the child in my womb. Why did his choice to save me become my fault? But Lin Su couldn't care less about these things. His eyes were bloodshot, like those of a madman who had lost someone deeply beloved. The fire at home wasn't even that big. Qin Yin, you deliberately sent me away, so I didn't even get to see her one last time. If I hadn't seen Lin's diary, I would never have known what a vicious woman you are. Her depression was your doing as well. Lin was so kind. Why couldn't it have been you who died instead? I have no idea what he's talking about, but Lin Su is truly insane. Now you can feel what it's like to lose someone you care about. He took a knife and brutally cut out my unborn child, then threw it down from the 18th floor. My heart-wrenching cries failed to evoke even a shred of compassion in him. He dragged me like a dead dog and locked me in a dark room. I begged him to let me go. Questioning what our over 5 years of relationship meant to him, Lin Su remained unmoved, even pouring gasoline in the room. My last memory is of him looking down at me, as if we were not newlyweds but mortal enemies. He took out a lighter and lit the gasoline. The thought of spending 5 years with a vicious woman like you makes me sick. You love using fire to trick me home, don't you? Well, now you can experience what it's really like to burn to death. Chapter 2. Of course, being burned to death is painful. I still can't forget that bone-deep pain, and now, I still face the danger of being burned alive. I thought that not calling Lin Su would prevent me from repeating the mistakes of my past life, but I never expected him to be so ruthless, directly telling his teammates that I was acting. A sharp pain in my lower abdomen comes and goes, as if the child inside me is reminding me just how heartless this man is. I've been with Lin Su for 5 years. This house was bought 2 years ago as our wedding home. Although it's an old neighborhood and the layout isn't large, I didn't mind. Lin Su and I are both ordinary wage earners. It's already quite difficult to buy a house in the expensive city of A and have a home of our own. I lost my parents at an early age, and all I longed for was a happy family. In moments of deep affection, Lin Su promised me countless times that he would make me happy, and I truly believed him. Every piece of furniture in our home was personally selected by both of us. The flowers planted on the balcony were carefully tended by me. I nurtured it with love, shaping it into the warm haven I had envisioned. Just like these suddenly aging wires, the problems in my relationship with Lin Su had long been there. In every day I thought was steady and smooth, there lay a huge hidden danger. Calmly, I took out that precious photo album. It contained all the photos of Lin Su and me from the past 5 years. He used to joke with me that this album should be passed down for our children to see, but now, in just a second, the paper album was reduced to ashes in the fire. The fire was growing stronger, the flames spreading like a tidal wave, burning the wooden bedroom door, the bed, the curtains, and rushing towards me. At this moment, the only way out seems to be that window. I quickly climbed out, standing on the air conditioner unit. My hands gripping the scorching hot window, I knew the crisis was far from over. This is the 5th floor, although it wasn't very high. I was heavily pregnant, and if I fell, the outcome was hard to predict. A crowd had already gathered downstairs, all local residents, and at a glance, I recognized several familiar faces, seeing me crawl out of the house. The neighbors downstairs grew anxious. Make sure to hold on tight, don't let go. We called the fire department, even though many of them were just acquaintances. They are so concerned about my safety right now. But Lin Su, who had been with me for over 5 years and nearly 2,000 days, could be so cold. I gave a bitter smile, once again realizing what it means to meet the wrong person. Songin from the fire department finally realized something was wrong as the number of callers increased. 1 or 2 calls could still be dismissed as false alarms or rehearsals, but with so many people calling in, and the urgency growing, he began to feel uncertain. Almost all the team members had been taken by Lin Su to rescue by Lin Lin using his authority, so even if Songin wanted to respond, there was no one to go with him. The neighbors downstairs waited and waited. But the fire department never arrived. Meanwhile, I upstairs was already feeling unsteady. The pain in my abdomen made me pale, and my body couldn't stop trembling. My hand was also blistered from the burn, making it hard to grip the railing. In the midst of everyone's exclamations, I could hold on no longer and fell backward. Chapter 3. In a daze, I suddenly remembered the time when I first started dating Lin Su. We met through a blind date. And we surprisingly clicked right from the first meeting. Neither of us eats spicy food, nor do we like strongly flavored dishes. We both love watching movies and documentaries, and we enjoy keeping plants and pets. I once thought Lin Su and I were a perfect match, and I naively assumed he felt the same way. After all, he had been extremely considerate towards me, even swearing at my deceased parents' grave that he would take care of me for the rest of my life. I never thought there was someone in Lin Su's heart. Everyone said Lin Su loved me deeply, and I naively believed it. It wasn't until Lin Su's first love, returned from abroad. On that stormy night, she called Lin Su, who was already asleep, and despite my attempts to stop him, Lin Su threw on his clothes and rushed out. Perhaps from that moment on, I should have realized how important Lin Lin was to Lin Su. Instead of being swayed by his flimsy explanation that she had depression and believing he was her only support, after all, Lin Lin could have gone to a doctor, taken medication, so what was the point of seeking out someone else's fiancé? Every time it's late at night, alone together, I don't believe she has no other intentions. Lin Lin still added me as a friend through Lin Su's introduction. The two of them became even more defiant, claiming their relationship was completely innocent. Afraid I might misunderstand, yet, the pure and kind Lin Lin and Lin Su's words would always inadvertently send me some ambiguous pictures. Sometimes it's the screen they watch movies on together, sometimes it's Lin Su's back as he cooks for her, sometimes it's Lin Su's sleeping profile when he's exhausted, and the hands intertwined together. I've had plenty of arguments with Lin Su over these provocative photos, but every time, he just rubbed his temples wearily, as if I were being unreasonable. Nyen Nyen, I'm really exhausted. I just didn't want Lin Lin to commit suicide. There's really nothing between her and me. Can you stop making a scene? Now thinking back to his reaction after Lin Lin's death, it certainly didn't seem like there was nothing going on. He would even go so far as to kill me and his own child for Lin Lin, driven by sheer madness, reborn once again, yet pushed to the brink by him. There is no longer any trace of hope in my heart. Lin Su never loved me. I misjudged someone. Chapter 4. I was lucky to survive. When I fell, several kind-hearted neighbors reached out to catch me. preventing me from smashing onto the ground and breaking apart. Nevertheless, despite this, I was pregnant and the impact was still significant. Blood kept flowing from below, and when Song-in finally managed to call a few colleagues on leave to come over, this was the scene they witnessed. I was surrounded by people, my face pale, with multiple burns on my body, and the white dress I was wearing had already been stained red in patches, looking quite horrifying. Sister-in-law, he pushed through the crowd, rushing in with a look of panic. How could this be? Brother Lin said you were just acting. The pain in my lower abdomen had drained me of all strength. I gasped for breath, glaring coldly at him. Is your entire fire brigade just taking orders from Lin Su? Whatever he says goes. The neighbors are also cursing. How do you work? So irresponsible. You only arrived after almost an hour. Exactly. With such a big fire, can you really take responsibility if someone actually dies? She's pregnant too. The situation doesn't look good at all. Song-in was scolded into silence, knowing he was in the wrong. He kept his head down and didn't even dare to look at me. When the ambulance arrived, he voluntarily followed me to the hospital. Throughout the journey, he kept apologizing to me. I'm really sorry. Sister-in-law, I had no idea this would happen. It's my fault. I trusted Brother Lin too much. The nurse interrupted his rambling. Don't disturb the patient. She's in a bad state. Are you a relative? Song-in shook his head, then heard the nurse say, then hurry up and contact a relative. What if they need to sign something later? Song-in finally panicked and called Lin Su. The call was quickly answered. Hey, Xiao Song, is something wrong? Probably thinking of letting me listen in. Song-in put it on speaker. I instinctively shuddered at the sound of Lin Su's voice. The noise on his end was chaotic, as if a girl was crying. Song-in didn't notice and directly told Lin Su about my accident. Brother Lin, there's really a fire here, and your sister-in-law jumped off the building. She's being rushed to the hospital now. Hurry over, you might need to sign something later. He didn't expect Lin Su to let out a contemptuous chuckle after hearing what he said. As if he had seen through everything. Xiao Song, how much did Qin Yan pay you to conspire with her to deceive me? Even if it's true, my place is only on the 5th floor. Could she really die from falling? As Lin Su was speaking, a delicate female voice came from the other end of the phone. Ah Su, is something wrong with Mian Mian? Why don't you go and be with her? I'll be fine here. I can manage on my own. Don't worry. I won't jump off a building again. It's just life is really exhausting. The voice was clearly by Lin. Lin Su didn't even hang up the phone and quickly comforted her. Qin Yan is just pretending. What could possibly happen to her? Good girl, Lin, don't overthink it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you, okay? His tone was as gentle as if he were soothing a child. Hearing that, I only felt disgusted. He always believed whatever Bai Lin said. Everything I do is just an act. With such blatant hypocrisy, how does he have the nerve to claim innocence at every turn? Song-in also found it hard to accept. Brother Lin, these are your wife and child. How can you run off to deal with your ex-lover's suicide and not even care about their well-being? Are you crazy? It seemed like Lin Su moved to another spot to take the call, possibly to avoid Bai Lin overhearing. Despite being reprimanded by his subordinate, he still felt somewhat annoyed. Song-in, what gives you the right to speak to me like that? She's not my wife. We never got married. If you're interested, go talk to her yourself. At these words, Song-in wished he could pull him out of the phone screen and beat him up. Lin Su, you're really a piece of work. I shouldn't have trusted you. Lin Su let out a cold laugh. So what? She's such a coward. Do you really think she'd die? I just want her to pay a price, so she stops causing trouble all the time. I'm hanging up. Don't bother me. I'm going to be with Lin. Song-in was about to curse again, but Lin Su hung up quickly, making him so angry he almost smashed his phone. Everyone in the car heard Lin Su's cold and heartless words and looked at me with sympathy. I took a deep breath. Even though I had already realized how ruthless Lin Su was, a pang of pain still inevitably welled up in my heart. After all, those were 5 solid years of my life. Besides, I truly loved him once. Even ready to build a family with him, I gently touched my abdomen. Perhaps it's the bond between mother and child, but the intense pain seems to have subsided. However, the medical staff's faces are growing paler. The patient's blood pressure is dropping. Quickly, prepare for resuscitation. Chapter 5. When I opened my eyes again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. I stared at the spotless white ceiling for a long time before I remembered what had happened. My hand instinctively reached for my abdomen, but it was indeed flat. The once heavy and even burdensome belly that I used to complain about was now gone. I didn't cry, just felt a slight itch on my face. I reached out to touch it and felt a wet hand. Lin Su's mother returned from outside the ward, saw that I was awake, and quickly called the nurse. She gently took my hand, her voice filled with regret. Nien Nien, you're still young. You'll have children in the future. I didn't say a word. But my withdrawn hand made my stance clear. Auntie Lynn's expression stiffened slightly. I've always had a good relationship with her, but she is, after all, Lin Su's mother. Seeing my more distant attitude, Auntie Lin sighed. Nyanian, Auntie knows you've been wronged. You two have been together for over 5 years, and Auntie has been there every step of the way. Now that the wedding date is set, it really hasn't been easy. I don't have a daughter, but I've always treated you like one. This kind of thing wasn't what we wanted. This time, Su went too far. When he comes over, Auntie will make sure he apologizes to you properly. Okay, I remained silent, just staring fixedly at the ceiling. After a long time, I finally spoke. Auntie, you always say you treat me like your daughter. If you really had a daughter and she encountered something like this, would you forgive that man? If my parents were still alive and knew what Lin Su did to me, they definitely wouldn't forgive him either. Auntie, do you understand? I was very straightforward, and Auntie Lin froze, not knowing how to respond. To be fair, if she really had a daughter, she probably wouldn't continue to persuade her daughter to be with someone like her son. Ignoring his girlfriend and child, he ran off to take care of his first love. Not a trace of it even now, thinking about Lin Su's actions. Aunt Lin was furious and took out her phone to call him again. Where are you? Didn't I tell you to come to the hospital because Nien Nien got into trouble? Lin Su casually replied. Lin hurt her foot, so I'm taking her to get checked. Qin Nien isn't dying, so why the rush? His attitude left Aunt Lin fuming with anger. Qin Nien had a miscarriage. How can you still have the heart to be with someone else? Get over here right now. A miscarriage? How could she have a miscarriage? Mom, don't joke around. Lin Su seemed to find something very amusing. Alright, Mom. I'll come over later. First Songyan, then you. I have no idea what Qin Yan has been feeding you, he muttered and hung up the phone. An hour later, I finally saw him. Just behind him, there was another person following. Who else could it be but Balanlin? Balanlin was wearing a pink floral dress. The moment she saw me, she flinched like a startled bird and hid behind Lin Su. Ah Su, her eyes are so scary. Lin Su immediately acted like a protector, glaring at me fiercely. Qin Yan. How many times have I told you, Lin is a patient, can you stop picking on her? Chapter 6. I was almost laughing out of anger. Lin's aunt was also a bit angry with herself for having given birth to such a blind and heartless son, and she slapped Lin Su on the head. What did Nien Nien do? She's still lying in bed. You accused her without even knowing the facts. Don't you know she just had a miscarriage and is extremely weak right now? Lin Su hadn't spoken yet. Just looked at me in surprise. Lin was getting restless. What? Miscarriage? Did Nien Nien really have a miscarriage? It's all my fault. If I hadn't gotten this illness, Nien Nien wouldn't have suffered like this. Her eyes welled up, and the tears came instantly. I can't help but admire Balanlin's acting skills. If those high-paid flow stars could act like this, many TV dramas wouldn't be so heavily criticized. But some men probably just like this kind of vulnerable, protective vibe. I saw Lin Su wavering again, and it didn't surprise me at all. He didn't consider my feelings. Instead, he comforted Balanlin. How can this be your fault? The miscarriage was due to her own carelessness. Besides, if it weren't for her causing you to develop depression, you wouldn't have repeatedly tried to harm yourself. In the end, this outcome is entirely her own doing. I let out a cold laugh, almost forgetting about this incident in my past life. Lin Su claimed to have seen in Balanlin's diary that I was the one who made her depressed. I just can't figure out how I could have caused her depression when I didn't even know her before I got together with Lin Su. Hearing my voice, Lin Su frowned and walked up to me as if he was doing me a favor. Alright, you did get a bit wrong this time, but is it really necessary? You owe Lin anyway. What's the big deal about having a miscarriage? You can just get pregnant again. Why did you call me over? I gently moved my wrist. Lin Su, can you come closer? I have something I'd like to discuss with you. Lin Su gave me a puzzled look and leaned in slowly. As that face drew closer, I mustered all the strength I could and slapped him hard. Snap! The crisp sound of a slap echoed, and the ward fell into a deathly silence. Lin Su's face was slapped to the side by me, staring at me in disbelief. He seemed to have never expected that I would be so without mercy to him. For a moment longer, our eyes met, and Lin Su's pupils trembled. The love and anticipation I once felt for him have vanished without a trace. Now, looking at him feels no different than looking at a stranger. Lin Su, we're breaking up. Chapter 7. Lin Su instinctively wanted to make amends, but as the words reached his lips, he laughed instead. Qin Yan, is this another one of your new tricks? You think I would never break up with you, don't you? Let me tell you. Playing hard to get doesn't work on me. My gaze grew colder. Lin Su is very confident. Indeed, I once gave him the confidence to stand tall. Every time we argued over Bai Lin, I would eventually compromise because I couldn't bear the thought of breaking up. But he forgot that I compromised because I loved him and the child in my womb. I compromised because I wanted a happy family, but now, the child is gone, a happy family is impossible, and I don't love him anymore. Why should I continue to compromise? Think whatever you want. We never got married anyway, the house was bought together, and the renovation costs were split equally. Remember to refund me my share. Handle the wedding cancellation yourself, I'll send you their WeChat later. After saying those words, I noticed a hint of joy on Balinlin's face, who was standing behind Lin Su, but Lin Su, unaware of her presence, still stubbornly protested. What do you mean? Are you really breaking up with me over this? Is this the first day you know what I do? I just didn't want to see a life disappear like that, so I helped Lin a bit more. Why are you being so aggressive? After scolding me again, Lin Su took a deep breath. Alright, since your child is gone, consider it an apology to Lin. I promise to keep my distance from her from now on. Okay, this can be Lin Su making a concession to me. After all, we've argued so many times, but this is indeed the first time he said he'll keep his distance from Bai Lin. Bai Lin's face fell as the smug smile faded. She frowned, ready to act, but froze when she met my knowing, half-amused expression. I slowly spoke. Lin Su, you might be mistaken about one thing. I don't have a habit of recycling trash. Moreover, since you say I owe Bai Lin so many apologies, I'd like to ask you, what exactly have I done? Lin Su was caught off guard by my question, and then a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Didn't you investigate Lin after we got together? Wasn't it you who sent those emails, causing her classmates abroad to bully her? If it weren't for you, how could she have developed depression from being bullied? In my opinion, you should apologize to Lin. Lin Su thought he was on the side of justice and spoke louder and louder, but Bai Lin looked embarrassed, standing there at a loss. Seeing her obvious guilty expression, I laughed so hard I nearly fell over. So who told you about this? Me sending emails abroad? What could I possibly send that would make her classmates bully her? Lin Su, I don't even know whether to say you overestimate me or underestimate me. Lin Su was stunned, but quickly remembered something. I saw your outgoing mail records. There was an email sent abroad. Aunt Lin, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up. She looked at Lin Su, her eyes filled with disappointment. I asked Nian to send it for me. Your aunt is a professor at that school. Don't you remember? Lin Su turned pale. Impossible. Mom, why would you use email to contact my aunt? Don't you know that your aunt only uses her computer and not her phone when she's working? Lin Su never expected the truth to be like this. He stiffly turned around, looking at Bai Lin who was already in a panic. Didn't you tell me back then that it wasn't Qin Yan's fault, but that you hadn't done enough to make her feel secure? So you're just going along with what I said and throwing the blame on Qin Yan. Bai Lin didn't dare to look at him. Lin Su grabbed her shoulder. Speak up. He applied a lot of force with his hand, and Bai Lin let out a soft hiss of pain, her eyes reddening as if she had been frightened. Yes, it was my misunderstanding, but I never said the person who sent the email was Nian. She still tried to argue, but Auntie Lin next to her couldn't stand it anymore and made an international call to Xiaoyi, Lin Su's aunt, to inquire about Bai Lin's situation. Bai Lin, I know that student. She was exposed for juggling 5 or 6 relationships at once, and it turned out the people she was seeing all had partners. She became quite famous at school for that. Later, she was caught cheating on exams multiple times and was eventually expelled. Why are you asking about her? Chapter 8. Auntie Lin turned on the speakerphone, hearing all the things she had done being exposed at once. Bai Lin broke down. No, it's not like that. Su, listen to me. She reached out to take Lin Su's hand, but he jerked it away. Lin Su glanced at me, still weak on the hospital bed, and let out a bitter laugh. Bai Lin, so you were bullied because you were a habitual mistress. How can you have the nerve to blame everyone else? I actually believed your lies and ended up hurting my own woman and child. Noticing the disgust in his eyes, Bai Lin decided to throw caution to the wind. She rushed to the window, one foot already perched outside, clearly preparing to jump. Ah Su, you promised to protect me. Are you regretting it now? She had tears in her eyes, still looking as pitiful as ever. But this time, Lin Su did not feel the usual pity. He looked at me guiltily. Nian, I'm sorry. It was my fault. I was blinded by her lies and did so many things that hurt you, but I truly still love you. Can you give me another chance? Before I could scold him, Bai Lin, who was ignored for the first time, let out a scream. Lin Su, you say you love her. Then why did you sleep with me when you came to keep me company at my place the night before last? Aren't you cheap? Lin Su's pupils dilated in shock, never expecting her to suddenly expose his past. Just as he was flustered and trying to explain to me, he saw that I was calm, as if I was not at all surprised. I raised an eyebrow, my tone sarcastic. You think I don't know? You're pure and kind. Lin always sends me photos every time. I've told you that before. Lin Su widened his eyes. In the past, he was ambiguous with by Lin under the guise of care, but after the truth was revealed, he could no longer claim to have been deceived. Under my mocking gaze and Aunt Lin's disappointed eyes, Lin Su knew that his pretense had completely failed. He was nailed to the pillar of shame, embarrassed and furious. Lin Su turned his anger toward Balin. Even if I slept with you, wasn't it you who seduced me? You called me over every night, wearing lace lingerie and snuggling into my arms. I'm a young man full of passion. Can it all be blamed on me? If you've got the guts, don't come running every time I call. You come over every single time. What are you really planning in your heart, don't you know? Bai Lin wasn't about to back down either. The two of them got more and more heated, both wanting to tear off each other's fig leaves and stomp on them. Bai Lin had been standing by the window from the start, originally trying to continue using the tactic of threatening to jump to keep Lin Su on her side, but now that they're arguing so fiercely, she slipped and fell without realizing it. Help, I don't want to die. Help. Her hands clung desperately to the windowsill as she cried for help. Everyone in the ward was stunned. Lin Su, what are you standing there for? Save her, I shouted, and Lin Su finally snapped out of it, reaching out to grab Belan Lin, but for some reason, whether it was karma or not, Belan Lin lost her strength just a second before he could reach her. Falling down in terror, there was a loud thud, the sound of a heavy object hitting the ground. The person who constantly threatened to jump off a building eventually died from a fall. I took a deep breath, feeling neither relieved nor regretful. Chapter 9. Since Belan Lin's fatal fall, all of us witnesses have been investigated. After learning that she had jumped on her own accord, the police checked her medical records. However, the results showed that Belan Lin was completely healthy. Her depression was entirely fabricated. Lin Su was even more devastated, showing the police the records of Belan Lin's threats to jump off a building during their recent conversations. If she wasn't depressed, does that mean all of this was fake? The police nodded. From my and Aunt Lin's descriptions, they seemed to have a clear understanding of the relationships between us all. If Lin Su hadn't done something so outrageous, they might have felt a bit of sympathy for him being deceived. But now, he really had it coming. Since there were no surveillance cameras in the ward, there was no way to prove Lin Su's innocence. Balin Lin's parents hounded him for a long time, even demanding a whopping $5 million in compensation. The two families had been causing quite a stir for a long time. By the time Lin Su finally dealt with all those messy issues, I had already quietly checked out of the hospital on my own. When he called, I was already on the high-speed train heading to another city. Nian, where are you? I gazed out the window at the scenery, my tone calm. Does it have anything to do with you, Lin Su? We've already broken up. Lin Su was getting anxious. No, please don't break up. Nian. Give me one more chance. We've been together for 5 years. And we're about to get married. Nian, please, don't leave me. I chuckled to myself. Stop acting. If you were really that devoted, why didn't you think about the fact that I was pregnant and we'd been together for 5 years, about to get married, when you were entangled with Balin Lin? Moreover, do you really think your actions only caused me to miscarry? If I had been a little less lucky that day, I wouldn't have survived. Why do you think I would ever forgive you, Lin Su? I've told you, I don't want trash. Besides, in my previous life, I already gave my life to you. 10. This is the first time I've mentioned my previous life in front of Lin Su. He remained silent on the other end of the line for what felt like an eternity, long enough that I was about to hang up in frustration. When Lin Su finally spoke, Nian, I never expected that you, too, have been reborn. There are quite a few things you didn't expect. I let out a cold laugh, and just before hanging up, I heard him whisper an apologetic "I'm sorry." Sorry, those are the most useless 3 words ever. He hurt my baby and took another life from me. Thinking these flimsy 3 words could earn forgiveness. Dream on. After learning that I too was reborn, Lin Su stopped bothering me. However, he didn't have the energy to bother me anymore. After Song En and his colleagues at the fire department learned about Lin Su's misdeeds, they couldn't stand it anymore and reported to their superiors that he had abused his privileges, wasting all the police resources to rescue his fake depressed first love. The argument that took place in the hospital that day was overheard by a nosy passerby, who then posted a vivid account of it online. People love a good scandal. and Lin Su became an instant internet sensation. But everyone is just cursing him, that's all. Due to online public opinion, the leader who originally appreciated Lin Su and only planned to give him a suspension was forced to fire him and record a serious reprimand. He can no longer strut around in that uniform, acting like a big shot and doing nothing worthwhile. I haven't been held back by these past events. After receiving half the money from the house, I returned to my hometown and opened a small dessert shop. With its beautiful decor and plenty of greenery, it became a popular spot for social media punch card in the small town. It's not like I'm rolling in money, but I can definitely afford to live comfortably. A few years later, I bought a 60 square meter apartment in the town, living alone with a cat and a dog, which was more than enough. I heard about Lin Su again when Aunt Lin called me, her voice trembling with tears. She begged me to see Lin Su one last time. It turned out that after losing his job and breaking up with me, Lin Su had become completely lost. He developed severe depression, locking himself at home every day, drinking himself into a stupor. A week ago, Auntie Lin and Uncle Lin dragged him out for a medical checkup. Due to long periods of irregular sleep and heavy drinking, Lin Su, who was only in his 30s, was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer, perhaps feeling that living was a burden, or maybe for some other reason. He drove Auntie Lin and Uncle Lin away and set himself on fire in our original house. Although he was rescued, it was already a case of too little, too late. Mom, is it her? I heard a weak voice coming from the other end of the phone. In the next moment, the phone was handed to Lin Su. He was gasping for air, as if breathing was painful. Nyen Nyen, I now understand how much it hurts. I'm sorry, really, I'm so sorry. Don't come over, I don't want you to see me like this. He kept talking on the phone for a long time until he passed away. Aunt Lin picked up the phone and realized I had already hung up. What bad luck to get involved with this stuff. I leisurely watered my newly purchased succulents, full of vitality and hope. This is the life I want. Story 2. I'd been infatuated with a prodigy for years. Later, his family fell from grace. He was disabled in a car accident, and I took him in and cared for him diligently, but until I died, he never stopped thinking about his first love. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to 18. This time, I ignored him, and was always with my childhood friend. He stopped me and asked with red eyes, "Where are you going?" 1. On my 26th birthday, I was hit by a truck and thrown into the air. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to 18, in the classroom. Classmates were excitedly discussing the transfer student. I heard he's the school's top student from the neighboring private high school, and he came here to rebel against his family. That private high school, the one that costs 300,000 yuan a year. Yes, they're all rich kids. The door suddenly opened, and the conversation immediately stopped. A girl whispered in surprise, "I know, as long as I lift my head, I can see the sunlight shining on the boy's short hair." Just one glance, and I was completely lost to him back then. The homeroom teacher smiled and said, "Everyone, be quiet. Please introduce yourself, new student." The familiar voice I had expected did not come. I lifted my head. He looked from afar, across the crowd. We locked eyes. I was stunned for a moment, then quickly looked away. Seeing that he didn't speak, the homeroom teacher urged again. He suddenly took a step forward and walked straight towards me. "Sue, classmate." My heart jumped suddenly. I pretended not to notice. He stared at me, his eyes complex. "Do you remember me?" The classmates whispered among themselves with curiosity. The homeroom teacher also looked confused. He seemed not to notice, staring at me intently, full of inquiry. His eyes seemed to shine. It turned out, he had also returned. I lowered my eyelashes. "You still remember me?" he asked again. "Don't you?" I slightly lifted my lips. When I looked up again, there was innocence and confusion. "Do we know each other?" That light suddenly went out, too. Song Youngyu seemed to be trying to find me. "That's right, it's me from the past life." He chose to sit in the empty seat behind me. My deskmate Tao Tao whispered, "Sun Yen, do you really not know Song Youngyu?" I shook my head. "But, he seems to be looking at you all the time." "I know, but I pretended not to see him and continued to listen to the class and read normally." At this moment, he must be very confused. The girl who once had a long-term crush on him, who never left him even when his family fell into hardship and he lost his legs, why is she now so cold towards him in this life? Tao Tao whispered again, "Does he like you?" The so-called instant love at first sight. I let out a cold laugh. "That's impossible. The one who is loved loses admiration and falls from the pedestal. He probably just couldn't accept it. Now he has everything again, legs, family, wealth. These are far more important than me. Not long after, his eyes will leave me and focus on something more important." After class, several girls surrounded Song Yanyu. Song classmate, let's add WeChat. I'll invite you to the class group. He hesitated for a moment, then took out his phone. The girl gasped, the girl on your wallpaper is really beautiful. Is she your girlfriend? I turned my head to look in the direction of the sound. He suddenly snapped his phone shut. His expression was annoyed. No, I turned around and let out a light laugh. That photo was Guaziru, a young lady who was like a moonlight in his life. He had liked her for years, and after much effort, they finally got together, but were forced to break up due to his family's decline in fortune, and the girl's family opposed their relationship. He got so drunk he drove to see her, and on the way, he was in a car accident and lost both his legs. When I found him in the hospital, his amputated limbs were bloody and full of wounds. He had no strength to speak a word. But with red eyes, he told me to leave. Once a proud youth, now he had fallen into the mud. I ultimately decided to stay and take care of him. He had nowhere else to go, so I took him home, taking care of his every need with great attention. At first, he always broke things and shouted at the slightest issue, but I always remained patient. Perhaps moved by my patience, he gradually stopped being irritable, but became silent. Sometimes he would sit by the window all day. I was afraid he might do something to himself, so I never slept through the night, and would immediately wake up and run to his side at the slightest sound. After half a year like this, one day I asked him what he wanted for dinner. He looked out the window in silence for a long time, and then suddenly said, I can't give you anything. I was taken aback for a moment. He was sitting in a wheelchair, very thin. I crouched down and tentatively hugged him. He didn't run away. I don't need anything from you. I rested my chin on his shoulder. You being by my side is enough. He stiffened for a moment. A warm sensation soaked through the clothes and landed on my shoulder. At that time, I naively thought that he probably really felt my sincerity, until Guaziru appeared again. 3. Song Yanyu. There's someone looking for you outside. A shout interrupted my thoughts. Outside the classroom, a slender girl in a white dress was standing. My chest suddenly sank. It was none other than Guaziru. In the previous life, she heard that Song Yanyu had transferred schools and came specially to advise him not to quarrel with his family. Her tone was gentle, and her behavior was dignified. At that time, I saw the two of them as a perfect match and felt inferior. Song Yanyu responded to the classmate who delivered the message in an annoyed manner. Tell her to come back after school. I was a bit surprised. After school, as I was packing my things to leave, I was suddenly stopped by Song Yanyu. I'm looking for someone. She looks a lot like you. I looked at him, completely puzzled. I really don't know you. He stood there in shock. Song Yanyu would never have imagined that one day, I would no longer like him. Completely, no longer like him. The day I was hit by a truck was my 26th birthday. My soul floated in the sky. My mind wasn't I don't want to die, but what will happen to Song Yanyu after I die? So I used all my strength to fly home in the rain, just wanting to see him one last time. But at home, I saw Guaziru. I didn't know when they got in touch, but Song Yanyu was sitting in front of her, his face full of peace and tenderness. They spoke of the past's beauty, occasionally smiling at each other. That was a kind of understanding we never had. Finally, Guaziru mentioned me. Sun Yan might not be as innocent as you think. She knows you are the sole heir to your uncle's fortune. And she brought you here possibly. She stopped there. I was floating in the air, shaking my head desperately. No, I don't know. From the beginning, my efforts were only because of love. Song Yanyu remained silent for a long time. I see. I floated in front of him, trying to make him sense me, but the next second, Guaziru lowered her head and kissed him. He didn't move away. I clutched my chest and screamed wildly. It was raining heavily outside. They couldn't hear me. My head felt like it was splitting apart, and before my consciousness faded, there was only one thought. I will never like him again. I hate him. 4. I walked out of the school gate and saw Guaziru. She looked inside and saw Song Yanyu following behind, then ran forward to meet him. Yanyu, don't quarrel with your family anymore. You don't need to persuade me. The sound of the two people talking came from behind. I lowered my head and walked away quickly, but I bumped into someone. Sun Yan, right, a sinister voice said. I looked up and saw a familiar face, Yen Sini from class 6. Behind her stood two tall and strong boys who looked like they were looking for trouble. That's when I suddenly remembered, in a previous life, I caught her smoking in the restroom, and not long after, she was punished by the grade director. She believed I had reported her, and she bullied me for several months. One evening, I was beaten up badly, and Song Yanyu arrived like a savior, kicking over all the bullies. He looked at them lazily, speaking carelessly. If I see them again, I'll beat them each time. At that moment, the feelings of infatuation burst to the surface. Many years later, When I was taking care of him with leg disabilities, I mentioned this incident. And he took a long time to recall it. They were unlucky. That day I was in a bad mood, he said it in one sentence. Brushing it aside, I fell silent. It turned out that the innocent feelings I had carefully preserved for so long were just a small effort to him. Why aren't you talking? Yenseni pushed me hard. You were quick to report, weren't you? I looked up and said, it wasn't me. She was stunned, then angrily grabbed my collar. Only you saw it, and you still say it's not you. In my previous life, I was timid and afraid, and I didn't dare to tell anyone when I was bullied, but now, I've already died once, and I won't be afraid of anyone anymore. I suddenly pulled away from her. Go away. What did you say? I stared into her eyes. Word by word, I said, go away. Around me were classmates going home, and Yenseni couldn't bear the embarrassment. She raised her hand and slapped me. Slap, a sharp sound, and everyone turned to look, without thinking. I immediately slapped her back. She covered her cheek, looking in disbelief. Hold her down. Two boys behind her were about to step forward when suddenly they were kicked to the ground by a flying figure. The person pinned them to the ground and beat them relentlessly with punches. Everyone was stunned, including me. Guaziru screamed, Yang, stop fighting, but he was like a madman. Continuing until the person was bleeding from the head, he slowly got up and walked toward me step by step. Pulling out a pitiful smile, I won't let anyone hurt you. I took a step back. He suddenly came to his senses, his eyelashes trembling. Are you afraid of me? He suddenly grabbed my hand. You said, I'm enough for you. Do you remember? I shook him off forcefully. I looked at him with an extremely cold gaze. Crazy person. 5. The story of the transfer student fighting for love spread quickly throughout the school. I instantly became a celebrity. From that day on, Song Yangyu changed his strategy. He no longer asked me repeatedly if I remembered, but instead showed me excessive care. A spoiled young master, who brought me breakfast every day, fetched hot water, took over all my cleaning duties, and followed me after school to make sure I got home safely. My deskmate Tao Tao excitedly advised me, Song Yangyu has done so much for you, aren't you moved? I smiled and said, that many. Tao Tao was stunned. In my past life, I had liked Song Yangyu for 8 years. I wrote hundreds of love letters that I never sent, tried to lose weight, studied, and carefully approached him. I knew I was not as good as Guaziru, but that didn't stop me from doing many things for him. Just when I thought I had no chance with him, his father went bankrupt and committed suicide. His mother went crazy. Guaziru broke up with him, and he became disabled in a car accident. On the day I found him, I wanted to tell him that I liked him, but that word like, I never got to say it before I died, but now, I don't like him anymore. After school, Song Yangyu followed me again. Normally I would tell him not to follow, but this time I said nothing. I waited at the school gate for a while. Far away, a young man approached. Sorry, I'm late, Xiao Bingyan said with a smile. It's okay. Well, why did you suddenly ask me to come? Did you get into trouble again? I caught a glimpse of Song Yangyu not far away. I took a step forward and took Xiao Bingyan's arm. No, I just thought we were childhood friends, and it's been a while since we last saw each other, so let's have a meal together. Xiao Bingyan was surprised, then laughed and ruffled my head. At least you have some conscience. I laughed along and was about to leave with him when someone suddenly rushed forward and blocked our way. Song Yangyu stared fiercely at Xiao Bingyan, then tightly at me, his eyes red. Sun Yan, he whispered my name, his voice trembling. Like a puppy afraid of being abandoned, my chest trembled slightly, but I spoke coldly. What's it to you? He asked with red eyes. Where are you going? I instinctively tightened my grip on Xiao Bingyan's arm. It's none of your business. He asked again. Where are you going? I didn't respond anymore, pulling Xiao Bingyan as we brushed past him. Who is that? Xiao Bingyan asked. I turned back and said loudly, I don't know him. Song Yangyu's lonely figure shuddered slightly. 6. Song Yangyu didn't follow us anymore. I and Xiao Bingyan went to a noodle shop we often went to before. All the way there, I kept talking, trying to make him forget the incident just now. But not long after we sat down, Xiao Bingyan stared at me and said, that person just now, you know him, don't you? I paused for a moment. Ah, our class transfer student, like you. No, are you sure? Xiao Bingyan said carelessly. His eyes looked like they had lost something most important. I paused in my actions. I thought again about those red eyes. Actually, he once looked at me like that. I had been taking care of him at home all along, but in the end, my mom found out. My dad passed away when I was very young, and my mom raised me, so when she found out, she immediately called me, looking very shocked and disappointed. Nian Nian, this is such a big matter. Why didn't you discuss it with me? As a girl, how can you take care of a disabled person at that time? I had multiple jobs to make money, but I didn't want her to worry, so I lied. His parents left him some money. I'm just helping to take care of him. That's not good either. How can an unmarried girl take care of him? You should also quit your job and go back to the hometown. Seeing my mother's determined attitude, I had to pretend to agree first, thinking of explaining it to her in person and finding a reason to come back. So during that time, I started packing my luggage to go back to the hometown. Song Yangyu saw it but didn't ask anything, but he seemed to have sensed something, and those few days he was unusually quiet and gentle. On the day of leaving, I lied to Song Yangyu and said I had to go on a business trip for a few days. He hummed. When I turned to open the door, he suddenly asked in a low voice, "Will you come back?" My heart skipped a beat, and I turned back to look at him. He was sitting by the window, his thin face without a trace of color, as if he would vanish with the wind if he stayed away for too long. Yes, I nodded forcefully. That time when I went home, I had a hard time convincing my mom. I told her about my long-time infatuation with Song Yangyu and how special he was to me. Actually, it wasn't because I wanted to be with him, but because I didn't want to see the boy I once liked so much fall into the deepest pit of mud, without anyone to take care of him. Mom listened quietly. Finally, I said, "When he gets used to the prosthetic and can take care of himself, I will leave." Mom agreed. I booked a train ticket that night and went back. It was already early morning when I arrived at the station. It was drizzling, and I pulled my coat tight as I hurried back. I thought Song Yangyu had already gone to sleep, so I carefully opened the door. The moment I turned on the light, I froze. He was sitting by the window, in the exact same posture as when I left. If it weren't for the fact that he was asleep with his eyes closed, I would have thought that he had been sitting there without moving since I left. Song Yangyu. I called his name softly. He slowly opened his eyes. After a moment of confusion and daze, he saw me. "Sun Yan," he murmured my name. The next moment, he looked at me and suddenly his eyes were red, like a lost puppy. "You're finally back." My chest ached for a moment. I ran over without even taking off my coat. My hair still had a damp feel, and I crouched in front of him, speaking softly. "I'm sorry, I'm a bit late." He suddenly hugged me. I momentarily forgot to breathe. This hug was not warm, it carried the chill of rain, but my breath became hot. My mind became confused, so confused that when Song Yangyu kissed me, I only felt that his lips seemed a bit cold. He kissed me, on this rainy night of reuniting after a long separation, so when I saw him accept Guaziru's kiss, I didn't understand. What kind of feelings did he have when he kissed me, and what kind of thoughts did he have when he kissed another woman not long after kissing me? Maybe it's always been my self-inflicted infatuation, from the beginning to the end. I never had a place in his heart. 7. Under Qiao Bingyan's questioning, I admitted that Song Yangyu was harassing me. "You don't like him at all?" Qiao Bingyan asked. "No, I don't like him at all." Qiao Bingyan nodded. After dinner, he dropped me off at the entrance of the residential area. Because I came to study in the city from high school, I have always been staying at my uncle's house. Before school ended, I had already called my uncle to tell him I would be back a bit later, but when I got home, my aunt still spoke in a sarcastic way. "She's in senior year. Who's a proper girl staying out so late?" My uncle scolded her. "Speak quietly." She looked uninterested. Did I say something wrong? Jia Rui saw her leaving with that guy from the Chow family. I looked at my cousin, who was acting as if nothing had happened. Since I moved in with them, he has been targeting me all along. He and Yensini are in the same class. In the past life, he had often planned with Yensini to bully me. I silently went back to my room. I turned on my phone and found a voice message from my mom. "Nian Nian, have you been under a lot of pressure lately?" My heart skipped a beat. Auntie probably already complained to my mom. I paused for a moment and replied, "No, everything is fine." My mom replied immediately, "That's good. If there's anything, remember to tell me. Mom will always support you." I stared at the screen, and my vision suddenly blurred. If I had left after Song Yangyu could take care of himself as I had promised, I probably wouldn't have been hit by a truck at the crossroads on my 26th birthday after arguing with him and running out in the rain in a huff. What did we argue about that day? He found a love letter I had written to him when I was 18. He asked me, "Has this feeling expired?" I stared at his thin figure, dazed for 2 seconds. He probably misunderstood what I meant. He let out a cold laugh. "I'm just a failure. You have the chance to pursue your own happiness. Don't waste it on me." "You misunderstood." "I'm not." "Misunderstand what?" "That I brought you here to take care of you because I like you, that I want to be with you. I really don't have that selfish thought of taking advantage. I'm taking care of you just because." Pitying me, he laughed coldly. "It's just because you feel sorry for me. If you don't want to be with me, don't say it so hypocritically." I looked at him in disbelief. So much time spent together and the effort put in. The result was just as one sentence, hollow and pretentious. I ran out of the house with tears on my face. It was raining outside, and I walked around the street again and again. When I passed by a cake shop, I suddenly remembered that today was my birthday. This morning, Xiao Bingyan had sent me a birthday wish, asking when we could have a meal together. I didn't reply. At this moment, my mom suddenly called. I hurriedly answered the phone. Nian Nian, happy birthday, after today. You'll be 26, did you order a cake? I stared at the exquisite cake behind the glass display case. Ordered, Doraemon's, a big one. Is that so? Mom asked with a smile. Is it for your friends? I held back my tears. Yes, they prepared a lot of gifts for me. Mom hesitated for a moment. Did you cry? I'm happy. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We're going to cut the cake. I quickly hung up the phone. The cake shop employee happened to approach. Miss, do you need to buy a cake? I shook my head, turn and walk away quickly. The rain was getting heavier and heavier. I wondered how Song Yangyu was after being away for so long. He was alone at home. What if he had a breakdown? Thinking about this, I quickened my pace. I ran despite the heavy rain. The red light came on, but I didn't stop. The glaring lights illuminated everything, and in the sharp sound of brakes, I flew into the air. As my soul desperately flew back home, he was kissing another woman. 8. I suddenly came to my senses. The 5 internal organs and 6 bowels are aching faintly. The phone screen is stuck on the message, Mom always supports you. Until I died, I never understood my mother's love for me. I was struggling in an almost obsessive crush, making unappreciated and unvalued efforts and sacrifices. In the end, I had nothing. In this second life, I will never make the same mistakes again. The next day, Song Yangyu didn't come to school. For several days in a row, he didn't show up. Tao Tao asked me, Sun Yan, do you know what's wrong with Song Yangyu? I was indifferent. I don't know. Don't you worry at all. It's none of my business. She was speechless from my retort. At the same time, my cousin Li Jiarui seemed to have some trouble. He came home very late with a face full of bruises. His aunt screamed, what happened? Who hit you like this? I fell, he said impatiently. How could that be? Tell Mom who did this, and Mom will take you to report it to the police. Li Jiarui remained silent, but he looked at me angrily. I didn't have the heart to watch the commotion anymore, so I turned back to my room. The next morning, my aunt didn't care about his objection and took him to the police station. I went to school by myself. Song Yangyu still didn't come, during the second class. The teacher suddenly called me to the police station. I was completely confused. Wasn't it Li Jiarui who got into a fight? What does that have to do with me? But when you're under someone else's roof, you have to bend. So I eventually took half a day off to go. As soon as I entered the police station, I was met with my aunt scolding. You said he's not decent. But it's my fault. You're young, yet you let other boys fight for you. Look at how badly Jiarui got hurt. My heart skipped a beat. Look up. On the corridor bench sat Yan Xini and Song Yangyu, whom I hadn't seen for several days. I immediately understood what was going on. It was probably the two of them plotting how to take revenge on me. And Song Yangyu overheard. I was bound to get beaten up. It's got nothing to do with me. I coldly replied. Auntie was furious. What did you say? I turned to leave. She grabbed me by the arm. You little slut. Thinking you can get away with this, you think you have any face at all. I said it's none of my business. A sharp sound of pap. My cheek turned to the side, burning with pain. After several seconds of silence, Song Yangyu suddenly rushed forward, but he was stopped by several police officers on the way. He pointed at his aunt and shouted loudly, try to touch her again. His aunt shuddered. She replied nervously, I'm scared of you. At that moment, Yan Xini and Song Yangyu's parents arrived. The one who claimed Song Yangyu was a young and elegant woman. During the mediation, the aunt-in-law looked very angry. My son was mysteriously beaten by your son, leaving him injured. Just now he even wanted to hit me. 10,000 yuan, not a single cent less, otherwise we will sue. The woman smiled and took out a stack of money from her bag. Here is 10,000 yuan. Also, I am the secretary of Yangyu's father. His parents are busy and can't come here. Unexpectedly, the other party was so quick and generous. And the aunt-in-law was momentarily stunned, seeing her expression. It was likely that she had agreed to the settlement. Her snobbish and money-loving attitude really hasn't changed at all. Yang Xini's father came up and beat her, and it took several police officers to stop him. He cursed and insulted her, speaking extremely harshly, and I finally understood why this girl, so young, only knows how to use force. I couldn't stay any longer, so I made an excuse and left the police station. I hadn't gone far when Song Yangyu caught up with me. Sun Yan, I pretended not to hear, until he grabbed my hand. I shook it off with disgust. Can't you keep your distance from me? I'm sorry, they've been planning to retaliate against you these days. I've been following you every day, and I couldn't help but. Can't you stay out of my business? I couldn't take it anymore, and let out all my frustration. Do you have to solve everything with force? Do you feel itchy if you don't use your hands and feet now? What did you just say? He suddenly interrupted me. You're right, I have hands and feet. Nyen Nyen, did you come back with me? He stepped closer. I backed up against the wall. Did you come back with me? Right. 9. He gradually approached, close enough that I could feel his hot breath. At that moment, he was full of vigor, his youthful and fair face showing no signs of the thinness and decline he would have 8 years later. His eyes were clear and bright, reflecting my young appearance. I suddenly came to my senses and pushed him away. Are you sick? He looked like a child who had done something wrong, standing in confusion for a moment, then hurriedly took out a stack of letters from his bag and pushed them into my arms. Nyen Nyen, I know you're angry with me. I'm sorry. This time, let me write you a love letter. Okay. Neatly folded envelopes, each one written with Sun Yen. Suddenly, I seemed to see myself from the past, writing to Song Yanyu with careful strokes. It was a scene I had never dared to dream of. Now that I'm here, I can only smile bitterly. Late feelings are worth less than grass. I held the stack of letters and threw them into the sky. The letters fluttered in the air, and I coldly looked at him. I don't understand what you're saying. Don't do this meaningless thing anymore in the future. It's disgusting. This sentence should have been very hurtful. I clearly saw the light in his eyes, extinguished completely. I left without any hesitation. He didn't come after me again. That day, my aunt didn't scold me at all when I went back, probably because the price from Song Yanyu's parents was really satisfactory. She didn't want to waste words on me anymore. However, I didn't want to live in her house anymore. I told my mom I wanted more time to study, so I moved into the school dormitory, without external disturbances. I focused entirely on my studies and scored high in several mock exams. In my previous life, because of my infatuation, I studied hard, hoping to get closer to Song Yanyu in grades, but I always fell short. I never expected that, after a second chance, getting rid of my feelings for him, success became so easy. It's really ironic, because he was worried I wouldn't get used to it. Xiao Bingyan often came to the school to see me, bringing me snacks and gifts, encouraging me to prepare well for the college entrance exam. In fact, I have always known that he had a crush on me, but in my previous life, I was fully devoted to Song Yanyu and ignored his feelings for me. In this second life, I want to cherish every person who loves and cares for me, so every time he comes, I am very enthusiastic. Song Yanyu has seen it all. In recent days, he seems to be avoiding me. He moved his seat to the back row. He hasn't spoken to me in a while. I'm actually glad for the quiet. Only Tao Tao expressed regret. You didn't respond, and Song Yanyu suffered a serious emotional wound. I secretly laughed. Where is this emotional wound? It's just that I kept rejecting him, and his pride was hurt. This way, we are like strangers, parting ways after graduation, and probably never crossing paths again. But someone doesn't think that way. At the school sports meeting, the campus was open for half a day, and the playground was crowded with parents and students from other schools. I found it noisy, so I went back to the classroom to study. While writing the test, someone suddenly stopped in front of me. Sun Yen, right. I looked up. It was Guizairu. My fingers paused. Is there something? There were 2 other classmates in the classroom, and she lowered her voice. Can I trouble you to come out with me for a moment? I have something I want to talk to you about. I didn't move. You can say it here. She didn't expect me to refuse. Her expression changed for a moment, but she quickly recovered. Yanyu has been having some conflicts with his family lately, and his state of mind isn't very good. He's been a bit rebellious. So what? She maintained a gentle smile. So what he said and did doesn't count. Don't take it to heart. If I didn't know her, I might have thought she was kind-hearted and came over to comfort me, but I know what kind of person she is. That gentle sentence was just reminding me that Song Yanyu's recent favors towards me were never from the heart. I let out a cold laugh. Does it matter if I act or not? While she was lost in thought, I turned to the classmate behind me and asked, what events does Song Yanyu have today? The classmate replied, he has a short run. I slowly got up. Guizairu nervously blocked my way. Are you going to watch? I said carelessly, guess. Then we passed by each other. There was someone disturbing me in the classroom, so I went back to the dormitory. I didn't expect Guizairu to keep following me. At the staircase, she suddenly grabbed me and said, can't you stay away from him? I gently curled my lips. It's obvious that he's still young. He can't even pretend anymore. Sorry. You should figure out that it's always him who approached me. That's impossible. He likes me. The lady completely lost her manners. It must be you who seduced him. Have you brainwashed him? I smiled. You two are so familiar. Why don't you ask him yourself? After saying that, I turned to leave. Guaziru didn't back down. You can't go see him. I frowned at her hand that wouldn't let go. I caught a familiar figure out of the corner of my eye. Guaziru obviously saw him too, and quickly let go, smiling brightly as she ran over and affectionately linked her arm with his. Yanyu, you're back. How was the match? He had been avoiding me these past few days, and upon seeing me, he quickly lowered his head to avoid eye contact. It hasn't started yet, he answered in a low voice. As he passed by me, Guaziru intentionally got very close to him. Let's go home together tonight. We haven't had dinner together for a long time. How about that Italian restaurant, also? She kept talking on and on. They walked further and further away. I suddenly spoke up. Song Yanyu. His figure stiffened, and instinctively he let go of Guaziru, running back to me. Guaziru screamed his name, but he never turned back. At that moment, I suddenly understood what it meant to be unrestrained by love, except before that, the person had always been him. He stopped in front of me, asking almost carefully, "What's wrong?" I looked at him. This was the first time, after my rebirth, that I looked at him so seriously. The young him was truly good-looking. No wonder I fell for him at first sight. For a long time, I spoke slowly. Do you like me? He looked in disbelief, opened his mouth for a moment, then nodded firmly. Behind me, Guaziru burst into tears. Oh, so he does like me, but I will never feel happy again. 10. I didn't reject Song Yanyu's feelings on the spot. There was no other reason. I just wanted Guaziru to feel more painful for a while. But Song Yanyu seemed to have misunderstood. After that, he went back to his previous careful and friendly behavior. This pitiful and ridiculous appearance is probably exactly the same as I had in my previous life. Since it's near the college entrance exam, he didn't do anything outrageous, so I just turned a blind eye. An unexpected person came to find me at this time, under the guidance of the teacher. I met the mother of Song Yanyu in the office. This woman, who didn't have time to step in even when her son was fighting, came to find me at this time. In my previous life, I saw her twice in the mental hospital, and she was crazy then, completely different from her current elegant and noble appearance. She was sitting on the sofa sipping tea. When I came in, she gestured for me to sit, as if the school was her own home. It makes sense. I heard that since Song Yanyu transferred to the school, his family has donated a lot of money to the school. I didn't sit down. What's the matter that you came to find me? She gracefully put down the teacup and looked me up and down. I heard Yanyu is chasing you. Have you agreed? No, no one is the best. I was even thinking that if you two were together, I would give you some compensation to make you leave him. She was talking to herself, completely not thinking there was anything wrong with it. Her lofty attitude made me feel sick. Sorry to disappoint you, not everyone likes your son. And not everyone is willing to accept your so-called compensation. Please face reality. If there's nothing else, I'll go back to class. Her words left her face as pale as a sheet. I turned around and left. I don't know what Song Yanyu's mother did, but not long after that, he didn't come to school anymore. Tao Tao gossiped with me. I heard that Song Yanyu's family is preparing to send him abroad, and he's not even going to take the college entrance exam. I said indifferently. It's just right. I also plan to forget the past and start a new life. Anyway, from the beginning to the end, he didn't know I had come back. After he left, my time was filled with studying. Xiao Bingyan occasionally came to encourage me, seeing that I was under a lot of pressure. He took me out of the school secretly and we spent the night at the amusement park. When he sent me back to school, he took out a Doraemon doll from his pocket and rubbed his nose awkwardly. I remember you liked it. I bought it secretly at the amusement park just now. I stared at it in silence, and suddenly I was back on that rainy birthday day, standing in front of the window, looking at the beautiful Doraemon cake. After going around and around, I got my own Doraemon. I hugged it and said quietly, "Thank you." That night, I dreamed about my 26th birthday. It's just that this time, it's not Song Yanyu who is with me, but Xiao Bingyan holding a birthday cake. I stared into space for a long time after waking up. I think, the things I once lost are slowly coming back. After countless simulated exams, the college entrance examination came. Those 2 days were not long, and they passed by quickly in my memory. I performed beyond my usual level and got an extremely excellent result. And I was admitted to my ideal university. Mom was very happy and held a graduation banquet for me, inviting all my relatives. Among them were my uncle and aunt. Li Jiarui's grades were not good, and he didn't work hard either. In the end, he barely got into a poor university. Before the graduation banquet even started, Auntie's mother was constantly taking credit. Nian Nian's child has been living comfortably in our house. That's why she got good grades. Then she changed her tone. But she's so likable. A boy said Jia Rui bullied her, and our Jia Rui beat him up. This definitely affected her studies, otherwise Jia Rui would have definitely done better. I watched her coldly as she performed. Auntie, Jia Rui's college entrance exam results were much better than his usual ones. I smiled. If that's the case, he shouldn't have even been able to go to college. Among the guests, her face turned ashen. You dare to say that Jia Rui's beating has nothing to do with you? Didn't you happily accept the 10,000 yuan compensation from them? She slammed the table. How dare you talk to your elder like that? Then she turned to my mother. Sister, you should discipline her. She's become completely unruly now. My mom changed the subject. Nian Nian, I didn't restrict her much since she was little. That's why she did so well. But you're Jia Rui, maybe you're being too strict. So don't always expect the child to be obedient. My mom gave a gentle but sharp reply, and my aunt's face became even more expressive. I had a very comfortable meal. After the graduation banquet, my mom called me over. I know you don't like your aunt. Don't talk about her behind her back, and give her some face. I smiled and replied, okay. Throughout the whole month of July, I was with Xiao Bingyan. Without Song Yangyu's world, I seemed to have lived a happy life I had longed for. 11. At the end of July, Xiao Bingyan held a birthday party for me by the sea. He invited my classmates and friends, and proposed to me at the party. I agreed. Just as we were about to kiss amidst the crowd's cheers, someone rushed out from the crowd and punched Xiao Bingyan. The crowd gasped. It was Song Yangyu, who had not been seen for a long time. What are you doing? I shouted, turning to protect Xiao Bingyan. He looked at me with red eyes. Nian Nian, why won't you give me some time? I will love you more than him. I will do better than him. It's okay that you don't recognize me. I will create new memories for us. You will definitely fall in love with me again. Nian Nian. Until this moment, he still firmly believed that I would fall in love with him again. I suddenly didn't want to act anymore. I turned to Xiao Bingyan. Wait for me a moment. Then pull Song Yangyu aside. There are too many people. It's hard to bring up those past life grievances. He thought I had changed my mind, and was overjoyed. Nian Nian, are you, Song Yangyu? I looked up at him. Don't do these meaningless things anymore. I won't like you again. He only understood half of it. So you did like me, right? In the past life. He opened his mouth, overjoyed. You really came back. I didn't respond. He suddenly grabbed my shoulder. Why did you leave me behind? You said you liked me, didn't you? Have you forgotten everything that happened between us? I calmly pushed his hand away. You might not know. On the day I died, my soul returned home. I saw Guazairu falsely accuse me, and you not only didn't defend me, but you also accepted her kiss, Song Yangyu. From that moment on, I no longer liked you. I hate you. His face turned pale. He frantically tried to explain. It's not what you saw. She suddenly came to me, and I didn't believe a single word she said. I just didn't want to waste my breath. Then what about her kiss? Was it also something you didn't want to avoid? Song Yangyu choked. Nian Nian, believe me, from the beginning, my heart has only ever belonged to you. That was a ridiculous answer. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. When you had nothing in your previous life, I became the floating log that saved you. Even though I never wanted to confine you to my side with the name of love, you wanted me to stay by your side because of my love. In this life, you still act as you please, completely ignoring my feelings, forcing your so-called pursuit upon me. Trying to make me like you again. Song Yangyu, you don't really love me. From the beginning, you've only ever loved yourself, the last sentence said. The waves crashed heavily on the beach. Song Yangyu's face was pale. He seemed to want to explain something, but was interrupted by Xiao Bingyan. Didn't finish talking yet. It was clearly jealousy. I smiled and replied, we're done. Oh, he said coldly, looking at Song Yangyu, and suddenly threw a punch. The latter staggered back and covered his face. Don't let me see you again. Xiao Bingyan stared at him fiercely. Did you hear that? My boyfriend doesn't want to see you anymore, I added. Song Yangyu looked at me in pain. The person looked like they had been drained of their soul. After a few seconds of stalemate, he lowered his head and left without a word. After this incident, the friends lost their interest. The party ended quickly, and everyone left one by one. What did you say to him? Xiao Bingyan asked in a relaxed manner. I knew he was still jealous. I said that I already had a boyfriend and asked him not to bother my life anymore. He finally laughed. That's more like it. 12. After that day, I never saw Song Yangyu again. He seemed to have completely disappeared from my world. Only occasionally in the middle of the night, I would recall the minor details of our past interactions, and all of them proved that he never loved me as much as I had imagined. In my second year of university, I received a letter. The familiar handwriting on the envelope read for Sun Yen. I didn't open it and threw it directly into the trash can. Later, at my graduation ceremony, an unexpected person appeared. It was Guzairu. It was already very hot at the end of June, but she was wearing a dark outfit. When she saw me, her first words were, "I really hate you." I was a bit confused. Then she said, "Song Yangyu is dead." My heart skipped a beat. She said she didn't understand why Song Yangyu had such deep feelings for me, to the point that after I left, he developed severe depression and spent the whole day sitting by the window. He became quiet and strange in his behavior. His comfortable family background led him to get involved in a world of luxury and excess. He drank alcohol, gambled, took drugs, and speed raced. He turned himself into a completely different Song Yangyu, a drunk driving incident. His car crashed down from the mountain road, the car was destroyed and he died on the spot. Fate wrote a similar plot. The difference is that in the previous life, the car accident took away his 2 legs, but in this life, it took his life directly. Guzairu spoke with red eyes, from the beginning to the end. My expression did not change at all. This was his own choice. I looked up, but he didn't. He clung to the past, forced himself into a dead end, fell into the abyss, and was doomed for eternity. He doesn't deserve my sympathy. After Guzairu left, my mom called. "Nian, what are your plans after graduation?" "First, I'll start working." My mom smiled and said, "Then what about your brother Bingen?" A few days ago, Aunt Xiao asked if we should get engaged first. I walked out of the auditorium and said, "I'm still young, no need to rush. You may not be in a hurry, but someone else is, afraid of not being able to bring his girlfriend home." I looked up and saw Xiao Bingen waiting for me outside the auditorium, holding a bouquet of flowers. The sun was just right, and the breeze made the paulownia leaves rustle. I smiled and said, "The person who is in a hurry has arrived. I'll go discuss it with him first." Hang up the phone. I smiled and walked towards him. Fortunately, in this life, I cherished everything. Those important people remained by my side. I will forget everything. I hope in the next life, you will be too. Story 2. When I was 8 years old, I was abducted by human traffickers while trying to save my childhood sweetheart. 10 years later, when I came back, there was a fake daughter by my childhood sweetheart's side who bore a 7-point resemblance to me. She walked into my home openly and hugged my parents affectionately. Later, I caught the fake daughter calling the human traffickers' mom and dad and discussing the plan to abduct me again. In a panic, the fake daughter ran me over with a car and killed me, and my childhood sweetheart even helped her cover up the evidence of the crime and threw my body into the sea. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the time when the human traffickers were about to abduct my childhood sweetheart. I thought carefully. There seemed to be a little boy in the orphanage not far away who looked quite like my childhood sweetheart. "One, little boy, my foot is sprained. Could you please take me to the hospital?" "Ouch, I can't move. I really can't move." Yan Xiao was warm-hearted. As soon as he heard this voice, he couldn't walk away. "Grandma, aren't your family members with you? Can't you walk? Come on, I'll carry you on my back." TSK. Look, how willing he is to help others. Whoever saw this scene wouldn't sigh and label Yan Xiao as a good person, but how could such a warm-hearted and handsome young man just stand by and watch me being abducted by human traffickers without doing anything in the previous life? Yan Xiao carried the grandma and walked towards the road. While walking, he turned back and urged me, "Niji, hurry up, aren't you coming?" At the age of 8, Yan Xiao was still thin and small. He struggled a bit and lifted the grandma up higher on his back. I oh-ed and then stopped. My stomach suddenly hurts a lot. "You go first, I'll come to find you later." After saying that, I directly ran in the opposite direction, but since God gave me a chance to start over, how could I miss such a satisfying scene? According to the memories of my previous life, I first ran to a building. The position was just right to see the alley where I was abducted in the previous life. The hospital was not far away, and there were quite a lot of people on the road. But it was already getting dark. It took Yan Xiao a while to walk slowly with the grandma on his back. "Grandma, why don't you get down and walk for a while? You're so heavy." The grandma didn't answer but took out a handkerchief from her pocket. In my previous life, when I realized something was wrong, I directly snatched the handkerchief and threw it on the ground, then grabbed Yan Xiao and ran. My actions annoyed the human traffickers hiding in the dark. The other 2 men rushed out instantly to catch us. In the end, he managed to escape, and I became the only victim. This time, I stood by the window in the corridor and coldly watched everything happening below. The handkerchief was put over Yan Xiao's nose, but Yan Xiao reacted quickly and directly threw the grandma off his back. His body swayed twice, holding his head and with a fierce expression, he said a few words and then tried to run. It seemed that he also realized something was wrong. But it wasn't that easy to run away. Two men blocked his way, one in front and one behind. They quickly picked him up around the waist. When I faintly heard a few cries for help, I slowly curled up the corners of my lips. Yan Xiao downstairs looked in the direction where I was while struggling. When our eyes met, I smiled and waved at him. Help, N.I.G. Please save me quickly. Save him. I saved him in the previous life, but I died, too. I deliberately wandered outside for an extra hour before going back crying, but my parents didn't care much when they saw me crying. They just said, "Did you fight with Yan Xiao again? I've told you so many times, a girl should act like a girl." I got tired of listening and started crying even louder with a "Wow, Dad, Mom, has Yan Xiao come home? I can't find him." At this, my mom was so shocked that her phone fell to the ground. "What? Weren't you two out together? Come with me to the neighbor's house and check right away." My parents pulled me to the Yan family's house in a hurry. As soon as they entered, they asked, "Is Yan Xiao here? Dear mother-in-law, are you out of your mind?" Yan Xiao went out to play with Gigi. Yan Xiao and I grew up together since we were children. We were real childhood sweethearts, so the parents of our two families would tease each other and call each other dear-in-laws. But seeing me crying so hard that my tonsils were almost showing, his parents also got worried. "Gigi, why are you alone? Where's Yan Xiao?" I cried and said, "He was taking an old grandma to the hospital." I had a stomachache and ran to the bathroom, but later I went to the hospital and looked for him for a long time, but I didn't see him or that grandma. His parents staggered, grabbed their coats, and ran out. My parents followed closely behind. "Don't be too anxious. Maybe the child was just having fun and forgot the time. We'll go look for him with you. Don't you know the director of the police station? Call the police and check the surveillance right away." To make the act complete, I deliberately wailed and went home. As soon as I entered the house, I instantly wiped away my tears with a blank expression. This was why I had to stay out for an hour before going home. Both of our families had a bit of money and resources. What if they checked the surveillance and actually rescued Yan Xiao? I had to at least buy the human traffickers some time to leave the city. Otherwise, how could I plan what to do next? 3. The desperate and shocked look in Yan Xiao's eyes when he was abducted was exactly the same as mine in the previous life. In the previous life, because of my unexpected appearance, the human traffickers had some difficulty catching the two of us. We desperately ran towards the place with light outside the alley. When we were about to be caught, Yan Xiao pushed me. I fell hard. I desperately begged him to give me a hand. "Yan Xiao, pull me up quickly, please." Once we got out of this alley, it was a busy road, and both of us could go home safely. The human traffickers were getting closer and closer. I stretched out my hand to Yan Xiao almost pleadingly, but Yan Xiao looked at behind me, gritted his teeth, and ran away without looking back. Yan Xiao, I was so scared that I started crying and crawled forward with my hands and feet, but in the end, I was pulled back by the leg by the human traffickers. At that time, I naively thought that Yan Xiao would find someone to come back and save me after he ran out. But until I was tortured by those two human traffickers with animal instincts in the alley for over half an hour, Yan Xiao didn't bring anyone back. "You little brat. For meddling in other people's business, originally. We didn't think much of you, you little girl. You had to be talkative, you had to be so cheap. Well, are you satisfied now?" At the age of 8, I was in so much pain that I fainted several times. I could only feel the two men slapping me one after another. "Yan Xiao, why, obviously, if you had given me a hand, both of us could have run out. Even if you had brought someone back to look for me, I wouldn't have ended up like this." Later, I was sold to a remote mountainous area where nothing grew. I endured hardships for 10 years before I could return home, but when I came back, there was a girl in my family who bore a 7-point resemblance to me out of nowhere. She walked into my home openly and hugged my parents affectionately. Just as I was hesitating to step forward, she looked at me in surprise. "Dad, Mom, Brother Xiao, this sister smells so bad. She doesn't have any dirty diseases, does she?" She said the most vicious words with an innocent look on her face, just like that. My parents, who were originally immersed in the joy of getting me back, suddenly changed their attitude towards me, and Yan Xiao loathed me to the extreme. I thought that as long as I was good to them, they would eventually accept me, but unexpectedly, what I heard were their cold voices. "If you had died outside, you would have always been the white moonlight in everyone's heart. Why did you come back to disgust us?" Later, I caught the fake daughter calling those human traffickers mom and dad and discussing the plan to abduct me again. In a panic, the fake daughter ran me over with a car and killed me, and Yan Xiao even helped her cover up the evidence of the crime and threw my body into the sea. Since he was so heartless, there was nothing wrong with me not saving him when he was in danger, right? what goes around comes around, in this life. It's his turn to experience the feeling of everyone eyeing you covetously in the mountains. By the way, Yan Xiao is handsome and belongs to the clean and thin type. Those desperate old men like this kind the most. 4. They searched for a whole night before coming back. As soon as they pushed open the door, Yan Zhao's parents grabbed my arm and asked, Gigi, think carefully again, what did the person who asked Yan Xiao to carry her look like? Draw it for Auntie. She pinched my arm and shook me hard. Draw it for me. I was stunned for a moment, then pouted and started crying as if I was scared. I don't remember either. I was in a hurry to go to the bathroom because of my stomachache. Dad, Mom, have you found Yan Xiao? At this moment, the more heartbroken I seemed to be crying, the happier I actually was in my heart. According to the situation in the previous life, Yan Xiao should almost be in the mountains by now. My parents wiped my tears for me, and then looked at Yan Zhao's parents. Hesitating to speak, in the end, they still shook their heads. The 4 parents all sat on the sofa with dull eyes. Yan Zhao's parents were like marionettes who had lost their souls. Only when the phone rang each time did their eyes light up a bit. Have you found him? Looking at their sad appearance, a trace of mockery flashed in my eyes. It's just a lost child, it doesn't matter, it will be okay after a while. In the previous life, Yan Xiao found an adopted daughter for my parents. In this life, of course, I will also help his parents get out of their pain. I stroked my chin and thought carefully. There seemed to be a little boy in the orphanage not far away who looked quite like Yan Xiao. When he comes back, there will also be a fake young master in the family who has been raised almost perfectly. They should be happy, right? 5. Half a month passed, and the Yan family used all their connections but still couldn't find Yan Xiao. Yan Zhao's parents were immersed in grief every day and had lost a lot of weight in half a month. I looked heartbroken and went to the neighbor's house to accompany them every day. Uncle, Auntie, I'm sorry, if I hadn't gone to the bathroom, would Yan Xiao not have been lost? If I had known that person was a human trafficker, I would have desperately stopped him from doing good deeds. I deliberately said this to find a topic. Yan Zhao's parents looked at me, opened their mouths, and tears fell before they could say anything. With my persistence, after another week, they finally accepted this fact. Silly child, how could we blame you? It was right that you didn't go. If you had gone, I'm afraid you would also. It's all my fault and your uncle's. We only told him to be willing to help others, but we forgot that there are damned human traffickers in this world. As they said this, the 2 of them hugged each other and cried again. I had been accompanying them for almost a month, and I was already used to the scene in front of me. When they cried, I would quietly go to the kitchen and make them some simple white porridge. After they finished crying, I would bring it up. Uncle, Auntie, eat something. What if there's news about Yan Xiao? You'll still have a lot to do then. Under my persuasion, they could eat a little. Day after day, I gradually integrated into their family in a subtle way, making them regard me as a confidant and a spiritual support, until the day I deliberately didn't go, and they couldn't wait to come to my house to find me. I knew I had succeeded. After calming down their emotions, I proposed, Uncle, Auntie, how about I accompany you to take a walk in the nearby park? Staying at home all the time will drive people crazy. Okay, Gigi, we'll listen to you. I curled up the corners of my lips and slowly said okay. 6. I accompanied them to wander around the park seemingly aimlessly. Yan Zhao's mother held my hand tightly and told me about Yan Zhao's childhood as we walked. Yan Xiao was born on the same year, month, and day as you, and our houses are next to each other. We've always thought that you two were destined. Gigi, do you know what Yan Zhao's baby item is? I asked as if I was interested. What, a boy as old as Yan Xiao actually has a baby item? A trace of a smile flashed in Yan Zhao's mother's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by that trace of sadness. It's funny to say, his baby item is the saliva towel you used when you were a baby. I don't know how he picked it up. Since then, he has to hug it every night when he sleeps. Yan Xiao likes you the most. I didn't say anything. Does he like me? If he likes me, why didn't he save me when I was in danger in the previous life? If he likes me, why did that fake daughter who came later replace me? Just as I was thinking, Yan Zhao's parents suddenly stopped in their tracks. Yan Xiao. They let go of my hand and ran towards the boy sitting on the bench not far away at the same time. Yan Xiao, why didn't you go home? Son, Mom and Dad were so worried about you. Woohoo, Yan Xiao, you're trying to scare us to death, aren't you? The boy who was tightly hugged was at a loss because of their enthusiasm. I nodded at him. This was the purpose of my bringing them to this park. Ke Wang, the boy from the orphanage, he bore an 8-point resemblance to Yan Xiao. With this face and the behaviors and habits of Yan Xiao that I taught him, it was enough for him to live in the Yan family. 7. Yan Zhao's parents were very disappointed when they found out that Ke Wang wasn't Yan Xiao, but I was there. Uncle, auntie, don't you think this is fate? He really looks like Yan Xiao. However, brother, where do you live? Why haven't I seen you before? Can we play together often in the future? Ke Wang lowered his head and said in a low voice, I'm an orphan from the orphanage. Out of the corner of my eye, Yan Zhao's parents' eyes lit up. I then timely gave them an excuse. Uncle, auntie, this is simply fate. It's so wonderful. We live so close to the orphanage but have never met him, and Yan Xiao just now. Uncle, auntie, would you like to? How could they refuse? Desperate people will want to hold on tightly to anything they see. People who look similar to their son are not common. In the end, they still brought Ke Wang back to the Yan family and named him Yan Qing. The next day, Yan Qing came to me. After a long silence, he asked me, why are you helping me so much? How did you know they would definitely take me in? I tried my best to look innocent. Because uncle and auntie's original son was abducted by human traffickers. You look so much like him. I hope you study hard and don't let uncle and auntie down. As long as he behaves himself and doesn't cause trouble, he will be a child of the Yan family in the future. By then, his life will change dramatically, just like that of the fake rich daughter. I'm so looking forward to it. I hope time passes quickly. I wonder what expression Yan Xiao will have when he comes back 10 years later and sees someone has taken his place at home. 8. With Yan Qing around. The sadness of Yan Zhao's parents seemed to have a place to go. He was a well-behaved and sensible person. He basically won them over 2 weeks after arriving home. They would even bring Yan Qing to my house for a dinner party. My mom looked at Yan Qing with a smile. This child is so nice. It's a pity he's an orphan. Meeting you guys now is his good fortune. Yan Qing seems to be about the same age as our Gigi. Where did he go to school before? After asking, uncle and auntie looked at me. Gigi, uncle, and auntie actually wanted to talk to you about this today. We want to transfer Yan Qing to your noble school. I'm afraid he won't get used to it just after going there. How about putting him in the same class as you? Please help auntie take care of him. I agreed without hesitation. Sure. In this way, wouldn't I have more time to get in touch with Yan Qing? The next day, Yan Qing came to our class. However, this circle is only so big. And almost everyone knows that Yan Qing is the adopted son of the Yan family. Children from wealthy families have always been good at sizing people up. They started to test Yan Qing intentionally or unintentionally, seeing that he hadn't firmly established his position in the Yan family yet. They began to exclude and bully him. I saw all of this but didn't interfere. It was not until a week later that I stepped in when Yan Qing was being bullied. After all, only when he is bullied and then saved will Yan Qing be grateful to me. After school, he was blocked in a corner again. I squeezed in from behind. Then, pretending not to understand their bullying, I said, Yan Qing, why are you still playing here? Didn't uncle and auntie sign you up for tutoring classes to study and help them share their worries earlier? Yan Qing blinked and was confused for a moment. Fortunately, he wasn't stupid. He knew I was speaking deliberately for these people and didn't expose me. The others were all stunned. Ah, Gigi, are you kidding? Is the Yan family going to hand over the company to this adopted son? I tilted my head and smiled. Otherwise, what else can they do? Yan Xiao has disappeared. Now Uncle Yan only has this one son. Who else can he give it to if not Yan Qing? The crowd looked at each other and consciously made way for us. See you tomorrow, Yan Qing and I walked side by side. And he remained silent all the way. It was not until we were almost home that he said, thank you today. Before I could say you're welcome, he added, I know you were helping me out. Don't worry, I won't covet what doesn't belong to me. I took so much trouble to bring him in, not to make him so harmless. 9. I stopped and looked back at him. Why not covet it? Yan Qing seemed to be stunned by my question. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say for a long time. I looked at him seriously. The opportunity is right in front of you. Don't you know how to cherish it? Do you want to be bullied all the time? Yan Qing frowned, and a different emotion flashed in his beautiful eyes. I averted my eyes. He looked so much like Yan Xiao. But I'm an adopted son. Yan Xiao will come back sooner or later. So what if you're an adopted son? I retorted. They don't care whether it's a biological child or an adopted one. What they value most is what's beneficial to the family. Besides, what about feelings? Before I was 8 years old, my parents doted on me alone. They wished they could hold me up to the sky. But when I came back in a sorry state 10 years later, didn't they still stand with the fake rich daughter and abandon me like a worn-out shoe? They disliked that I was dark and thin and couldn't be presented in public. They thought I had completely forgotten all the social etiquette I had learned before and would make them a laughingstock if I was taken out. Even at a dinner party with more than 20 people, just because my chopsticks fell to the ground, my dad told me to get out in public. But Mom and Dad, for the past 10 years, my hands and feet were always tied with ropes. I had to bury my face in the bowl to eat. If I didn't eat, I would starve to death. For me, so-called etiquette was the first thing I abandoned. It was already very difficult for me to come back alive. Feelings will fade. Whether to seize this opportunity is up to you. After saying that, I went home one step ahead. In this life, I will only focus on interests. 10. Probably what I said to Yanqing worked. He really became more and more like a rich second generation day by day. Whenever he had something he wasn't sure about, he would come to ask me. He no longer cowered in front of anyone over the past few years. In addition to learning golf, shooting, equestrianism, and piano, he also learned financial knowledge and business administration thoroughly. He grew into a more outstanding existence than the real Yan Xiao. After he won another project for the Yan family, I waited for him outside the meeting room. As soon as he came out, a bunch of flowers was handed to him again. Congratulations on winning another big deal. Yanqing held the flowers in one hand and naturally took my bag with the other. Stop teasing me, future female tycoon, let's go home. I smiled and didn't say anything. Over the years, not only has Yanqing proven himself in various fields, but I'm also not far behind. By the way, the college entrance examination is coming soon. Which university do you want to go to? I answered without hesitation. A university in this city. Yanqing looked at me. What a coincidence. So do I. Looking at the receding night view outside the window, I slowly curled up the corners of my lips. 10 years are almost over. I have been committed to improving myself. I have gradually taken over the contacts, resources, and family business from my parents, and Uncle Yan has gradually let Yanqing take over the family business in addition to his studies. Although he is young, he can complete each task excellently. As a result, everyone in the circle knows that the Yan family has found a blessing in disguise and adopted a son who is intelligent and hard-working, coupled with his outstanding appearance and tall figure. This guy even became popular on the internet by accident. Although he doesn't plan to make a living in the internet field, he has gained 10 million followers with just a bare account with no content. Calculating the time, Yan Xiao should be coming back soon, but in any case, Yanqing has more than one way out. Besides, at that time, it's not certain who Yan Zhao's parents will side with. I must stay in this city to watch this big show. 11. On the day the college entrance examination ended, Uncle Yan's family and my parents took us out to celebrate. Everyone was beaming with joy, and there was not a trace of gloom on the faces of Yan Zhao's parents. We didn't go home until the middle of the night. Uncle, Auntie, see you tomorrow. We waved and said goodnight. But as soon as the words were out of our mouths, a sinister voice came from not far away. Who is he? Yan Zhao's parents answered without hesitation. Yanqing, our son. Under the street lamp, a person in slightly ragged clothes stomped his feet in frustration and roared, if he's your son, then what am I? Everyone was stunned, and the things in Yan Zhao's parents' hands also fell to the ground. My parents looked at each other, and the hands that were about to open the door silently retracted. Only I couldn't help laughing. I've been waiting for so long. He's finally back. When I saw the girl next to him, my hand hanging by my side suddenly clenched tightly. And Yuan, the adopted daughter of my parents in the previous life. She was afraid that her status would be in danger because I came back home, so she framed me several times and finally ran me over and killed me, the fake rich daughter. I would recognize her even if she turned to ashes. Yan Xiao rushed forward like crazy and looked at Yanqing. He roared loudly and questioned, I was lost, not dead. Do you have me, your son, in your hearts at all? I ate pig excrement in that god-forsaken place, while you were having fun at home and even found someone to replace me. Yan Zhao's parents were so stunned that they didn't come to their senses. Actually, it's no wonder they were like this. Yan Xiao looked completely different now. His hair was greasy and stuck together. There was a scar on his dark face, his neck was dirty, and obvious dirt could be seen, looking like a black wheel. Speak, say something. I'm back. I'm the child of this family. Tell this guy to get out. As he said this, Yan Xiao started to push and shove Yanqing. At this time, Yan Zhao's parents finally reacted. They subconsciously blocked Yanqing behind them. Shower, why are you back? Yan Xiao laughed out of anger with red eyes. Shouldn't I come back? Fine, then I'll leave. At this moment, Xiaoen, who had been silent all this time, pulled Yan Zhao's arm. Uncle, Auntie, Yan Xiao has suffered a lot of grievances in the years since he was abducted. It's understandable that he's sad to see this scene when he comes home. Just look at the scars on his body to know how hard his life has been. There were scars all over Yan Zhao's belly and back. I knew exactly where these scars came from. They were nothing more than from being whipped. If he didn't listen, he was beaten. If he resisted, he was beaten. If he tried to escape, he was beaten even harder. Yan Zhao's mother's tears fell instantly. She wanted to hug Yan Xiao, but the hand she stretched out never landed. It's good that you're back. Let's go home first. You go take a bath and feel comfortable. By the way, look at Gigi. You two haven't seen each other for a full 10 years. Gigi has become more and more beautiful. Before she could finish speaking, Yan Xiao rushed towards me with gritted teeth. 12. I deliberately didn't dodge, but Yan Qing hugged me and dodged Yan Zhao's attack. And Ji, you such a bitch also deserve to live in this world. You die for me. I'm going to kill you. Everyone was frightened by his appearance. I also pretended to be pitiful and innocent, shivering and hiding behind my parents. Yan Xiao, why are you saying such vicious words to me as soon as you come back? Of course I knew why. Back then, I also watched him being taken away. Yan Xiao pointed at my nose and cursed at me, saying that I would come to no good end, that I was worse than a pig or a dog, saying that he was abducted because of me. I didn't defend myself at all. I just looked at him with a stunned and hurt expression throughout, just like no one believed me in the previous life. Now no one believes him either. During the time he was away, I was almost like half a daughter of the Yan family. Who would believe his nonsense? Sure enough. Seeing that he couldn't persuade Yan Xiao, Yan Zhao's father kicked over the trash can next to him and then pointed at him and scolded loudly, "Stop going crazy here." At that time, we checked the surveillance. You were stupid enough to be deceived. What does it have to do with Gigi? Go home quickly. Yan Xiao still wanted to say something, but his father added, "If you don't go home, get out. From now on, I'll pretend I don't have a son like you." Finally, Xiaoan gently touched Yan Zhao's arm. Only then did he relent. "Fine, I'll go home, but this is Xiaoan, my girlfriend. She has to stay at home with me." Only then did this farce end. But before entering the door, Xiaoan looked back at me. The hatred in her eyes made me confused. If anyone should hate, it should only be me hating her. Could it be that she was also reborn? 13. The next day, Yan Qing and I made an appointment to prepare for the relevant matters of the art exhibition. After thinking for a while, I deliberately went to the neighbor's house. "Uncle, Auntie, how is Yan Xiao?" As soon as Yan Xiao, who was having a meal, heard my voice, he slammed his chopsticks on the ground. "Dad, I said last night that from now on, we should draw a clear line from the neighbors." Yan Zhao's father looked at him helplessly, and his mother quickly got up and pulled me in. "Don't listen to his nonsense. He just came back and is stimulated." "Who's stimulated?" Yan Xiao slapped the table and stood up. He walked 2 steps to me. In the previous life, he grew to about 185 centimeters, very tall, but this time, probably due to malnutrition, I could be as tall as him wearing high-heeled shoes. "And Ji, stop acting in our house. Get out now." Yan Zhao's parents were about to stop him, and the fake rich daughter in the previous life, that is, Xiaoan in this life. "Stop them first, Uncle, Auntie, let's listen to what Yan Xiao has to say." "And Ji, I really don't know where I offended you. Do you know what kind of life I've been living these years?" "Those beasts." Probably thinking of something sad, Yan Zhao's lips began to tremble halfway through his words. "But now I'm back. This is my home, not your home with that pretty boy. I'm the biological son of the Yan family and the heir to the Yan family's business. None of you are allowed to covet my things." I looked at Yan Zhao's parents and then, like coaxing a child, nodded along with his words. Okay, you're right, Yan Qing, it's getting late, let's set off first." "Where are you going?" Yan Xiao blocked our way. I deliberately looked at Yan Qing with admiration. "To the launch event of the project that Yan Qing and I participated in together. By the way, didn't you also like to accompany Uncle and Auntie to these activities before? Do you want to go with us this time?" Yan Zhao's face instantly turned red with anger. "Oh, right, I forgot. Even with the best platform, after being away for 10 years, it's very difficult to come back." I smiled and waved to Yan Zhao's parents. "Uncle, Auntie, we're leaving." 14. After going out, Xiaoan actually followed me. Yan Qing went to wait for me in the car first, while Xiaoan began to test me. "I heard that you and Yan Xiao were childhood sweethearts. Were you there when he was abducted back then? Why did you manage to escape successfully?" Looking at her pretended innocent appearance, I covered my nose and took a half step back. "It stinks. Did you not wash yourself clean when you took a bath last night? There's a fishy smell. You don't have some dirty disease, do you?" These were the words she said to me when we first met in the previous life. We stared at each other, and the hatred that we no longer concealed burst out from the bottom of our eyes. "Sure enough, you, this bitch." We're also reborn, I chuckled twice. This is what you call the mercy of heaven. He specifically let me come back to deal with you two murderers. Xiaoan looked at me with a cold smile on her lips. So what if you were reborn? You're still going to be my loser. In this life, I'll crush you with a car and then throw you into the gutter to feed the stinking fish and shrimp. At that time, your parents will still regard me as their daughter. I looked at her sideways and suddenly laughed. Did she think I had done nothing in these 10 years? No, it's probably not that I can't do without them, but that they can't do without me. What are you laughing at? I scanned her up and down and said lightly, I just think that without my family's money spent on you, you really look very ordinary. Guess what Yen Xiao would do to you if he knew that the human traffickers were your parents? Her pupils suddenly shrank in fright. And I left with my head held high and got into the Mercedes-Benz not far away. Yan Qing handed me a bottle of water. You seem to really hate those two. Yes, I didn't hide it. If you still want to stay here, you have to be as hostile to them as I am. After waiting for so many years, wasn't this what I was waiting for? Yan Qing looked ahead and started the car, saying softly, okay, 15. There wasn't actually much to do at the launch event. I used this as an excuse just to deliberately provoke them. After we were almost done with our work, Yan Qing and I found a coffee shop and sat down. Just as we were sitting there, I saw a car from the Yan family drive by on the roadside. Could that be Yan Xiao? Follow and see. The car stopped at the entrance of the hospital. It was indeed Yan Xiao, and he didn't bring Xiaoen with him. He was acting very secretively, and as soon as he entered the door, he went straight to the proctology department. Yan Qing was puzzled. What is he doing here? I smiled meaningfully. It couldn't be that he came to the hospital alone to see a hemorrhoid problem, right? It seemed that Yan Xiao had experienced a lot these years. Yan Xiao stayed in the proctology department for a whole day. Before leaving, he kept shouting that he had something to do and couldn't be hospitalized. After he left, I asked Yan Qing to use his face, which was similar to Yan Zhao's, to deceive the doctor. What's going on? Yan Qing's expression was a bit complicated. Speak, what on earth is going on? Yan Qing took out a photo and showed it to me. It was an X-ray film that Yan Xiao had just taken. There was actually a round light bulb and a beer bottle in his abdominal cavity. Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still stunned. Goodness, his experience was much richer than mine in the previous life. 16. A few days later was Yan Qing's 18th birthday. Although the atmosphere in the Yan family was a bit awkward these days, Yan Zhao's parents were still carefully preparing his coming-of-age ceremony. Yan Xiao had been causing trouble. When I came home, you didn't even hold a banquet to welcome me. Now, for just an adopted son's 18th birthday, you're making such an exaggerated coming-of-age ceremony for him. Mom and Dad, are you getting senile? I'm your biological son. I stood aside, looking innocent, and said, but brother Yan Qing has not only won various competitions but also participated in company projects early, bringing a lot of honor to the family. And this birthday party is not just for him. Many people will come. Isn't an adult's party just a business field? Yan Zhao's parents looked at me and Yan Qing approvingly, but when their eyes fell on Yan Xiao, they sighed imperceptibly again. Your dad and I have told you many times, control your hostility a little. We will hold a banquet for you soon and arrange for you to go abroad to study and further your education. Your girlfriend can also. Before she could finish speaking, Yan Xiao stood up again with a whoosh. What do you mean? You want to send me away and then hand over the company to this pretty boy? I'm telling you, it's impossible. The family's property must be mine, otherwise, even if I destroy it, I won't let you give it to an outsider. If I can't live well, no one else should either. When I was suffering outside, did anyone think about me? No, you're here raising someone else's son and thinking you're enjoying family happiness. How stupid. What a stupid thing to do. Hearing this, Yan Zhao's father finally couldn't bear it anymore. He threw the teacup in his hand to the ground. If you keep spouting such nonsense, get out of here and go back where you came from. Yan Xiao was so angry that his whole body was shaking. Finally, Xiaoen pulled him out. After comforting Yan Zhao's father, I went home. Just then, I happened to see those two arguing on the road. With such a good opportunity, how could I not go over and annoy them? Are you angry already, Yan Xiao? I'm not saying this to be mean, but you're really becoming more and more narrow-minded. Yan Xiao still wanted to attack me, while Xiaoen stood aside and watched coldly. I stood still and didn't dodge, only saying, if you hit me, the shares of the Yan family will all belong to Yan Qing. What do you mean? I looked at them with a smile. You don't know this, but Yan Qing is really outstanding. He has also been in this family for 10 years. Uncle and auntie have already signed a document to give him 10% of the shares, which will take effect on his 18th birthday. That was the first time I saw someone actually so angry that their eyes seemed to be on fire. After the 18-year-old coming-of-age ceremony, Yan Qing will be a proper shareholder. Yan Xiao gritted his teeth. This is simply outrageous. 17. Many people came to the coming-of-age ceremony. As the protagonist of the day, Yan Qing was shining brightly. He chatted with the guests along with Yan Zhao's parents. After 10 years of edification, he was already very proficient in such occasions. Just as he was cutting the cake, Yan Xiao suddenly opened a bottle of champagne and sprayed it at Yan Qing on the stage. The champagne splashed equally on everyone, causing exclamations at the scene. Yan Qing's carefully groomed hair got wet and stuck to his forehead, and a few drops of champagne flowed down his cheeks. Yan Zhao's parents were also startled, but it was too late to stop it. Why are you celebrating this outsider's birthday? Why are you introducing him to so many people? Yan Xiao shouted from behind. Still not satisfied, he went up on stage and tore off the microphone. Open your eyes and see clearly. I'm the proper heir of this family. That fake, I'll kill him sooner or later. Before he could continue going crazy, Yan Zhao's father rushed up directly and slapped him. Shut up, I'm sorry, everyone. Yan Xiao has a problem with his mind. He's crazy. Ah, Yan Xiao, how dare you hit your father? The father and son started fighting in public, scaring the guests away. I helped Yan Qing wipe the wine stains on his face. This is the best birthday present I gave you. In the future, Yan Qing would no longer have any threats. The corners of Yan Qing's lips curled up. Just as he was about to answer me, he frowned again. He quickly pulled me behind him and then kicked out. Only then did I know that Xiaoan was rushing towards me with a knife. She was kicked to the ground and still shouted unconvinced. Again. Again, Yan Qing frowned. Is she crazy? Of course I knew what again meant. Unfortunately, she would never have another chance in this life. 18. Yan Zhao's father and Yan Xiao completely broke up. They severed their father-son relationship, and Yan Xiao was kicked out of the house. At the same time, I found a reporter to expose Yan Zhao's X-ray film. Instantly, the topic about Yan Xiao became extremely popular the whole network. No. I'm just curious how this guy can still fight with foreign objects in his body. But guy. No, I just slipped in the bath and accidentally sat on them. He might really be crazy. The overwhelming negative comments could quickly drown a person. A few days later, I received a text message from Yan Xiao. The old place, dare you come? I thought for a long time before I remembered where the old place he mentioned was. That night, I went to the appointment gladly, but I was well prepared when that car rushed towards me again. Before it even reached me, 2 tires burst and it crashed into the big tree next to it. I looked coldly at them, who were all injured. Do you think I would fall in the same place twice? There was a cut on Yan Zhao's head, and blood covered his face. He glared at me viciously. Why on earth are you treating me like this? I smiled. I'm just treating you the way you treated me. Vaguely, I smelled the smell of gasoline. Looking at the gasoline gradually flowing on the ground, I got to the point. You've been staying in a place called Huangdegutan all these years and couldn't run away, right? A trace of surprise flashed in Yan Zhao's eyes. How do you know? I curled my lips. I also know that the girlfriend next to you, her parents are human traffickers. Yan Xiao didn't believe it. I smiled and threw over a video. It was Xiaoan affectionately calling the human traffickers mom and dad and giving them a lot of ideas to abuse Yan Xiao. As for how I got this video, of course, after I was reborn, I sent someone to secretly install a hidden camera in the human trafficker's house early. Xiaoan also saw the content of the video and screamed, shaking her head. No, no, but Yan Xiao was furious. I'll kill you, you bitch. I turned around and walked away quickly. Let the fire wash over these 2 scumbags. 19. After learning of Yan Zhao's death, Yan Zhao's parents were not as sad as expected. Instead, they seemed to be relieved. However, Yan Zhao's father was also beaten badly, coupled with the psychological blow. He seemed to have aged 10 years. Yan Qing also smoothly became the only heir. My parents were watching TV at home and sighing about the series of things that happened in the Yan family. Is there some saying in their family? So many things have happened recently. To be honest, they should find someone to get rid of the bad luck. My stomach suddenly hurts a lot. You go first, I'll come to find you later. You. When I met my parents' eyes, I took out 2 plane tickets and then said slowly, the elders of the neighbor's family have all stepped down. You two should also go abroad to enjoy your old age. Nige. Do you think you've grown too big for your britches? I stood up with a smile and then shook the small medicine bottle in my hand. Dad, your heart hasn't been feeling well recently. The special medicine is all from me. In fact, there was no special medicine, it was just vitamins. He thought it was effective only because on the day he took the medicine, I didn't drug him. My dad was immediately caught by the throat. He slumped back on the sofa. Okay, the child has grown up and started to plot to seize power. Hee hee. I went straight upstairs. In the previous life, they alienated me after listening to the instigation of the fake rich daughter. Letting them go abroad to retire was already my kindness. The next morning, when I went out to the company, I happened to meet Yan Qing, who was about to leave. At the door, he raised his chin at me. Let's go. I curled my lips and got into his car. Let's go. Our battlefield has just begun.